Sham. I have Dr. Tejas. Welcome to this month's Cryptonite. We are joining after a bit of a break, where the good doctor was trying to find his feet. So Tejasvi, where did you finally land after your VC gig?
Oh man, yeah, that trying to find my feet was pretty appropriate, I think. Yeah, so I kind of got done with VC investing in crypto for a bit. I meandered around for a while, trying to figure out what I want to do. Uh, but then I've been always been an engineer. We kind of studied together for a while. We know that we both like programming. So you kind of ventured into investments. I kind of ventured into random investments in a different way. But I think programming is still my first love. So I kind of got back to a programming job. Still in crypto though, cryptography more for the most part. So I'll be working on some privacy stuff at a crypto company called Chainlink. They are essentially what is called an oracle in crypto. So just for our readers or users, listeners rather, an oracle essentially in crypto means you need external data into blockchains for many use cases. For example, if you have a loan position with a collateral, the collateral price has to be monitored by the protocol to be able to make sure that your loan is always capitalized. And to do that, you need somebody to give the collateral's price to the blockchain or to that particular protocol itself. So this job is done by typically what is called an oracle. So they have a bunch of data feeds being written into many blockchains. So they will have price of, for example, ETH BTC or ETH USD or USD Euro or any of these kind of currency pairs. That's one of them. They could even have the price of Tesla, price of Nvidia, whatever it is. So any external data, even weather, for example, or news items or whatever it is, any external data that has to be written into a blockchain, you have an oracle typically writing into a blockchain. So Chainlink is one of the bigger oracles out there. There are a couple of others as well. But Chainlink is also doing a few other things, and one of them needs a bit of a privacy cryptography angle. So I'll be working on the cryptography privacy part, not so much the oracles, but most like cryptography and privacy. So I like to tell kind of people who I know that they baited me with the idea of working on cryptography, which I like a lot, because cryptography still is a very important and pet topic for me, at least philosophically, personally, intellectually. So I'm happy to be working on cryptography in a engineering sense, using basically doing programming and stuff. So yeah, still in crypto, but kind of mostly from a engineering standpoint now, not as much of an investment angle. But again, as with crypto, you are exposed to all the stuff that happens around. So I still am a participant in the industry, so to speak.
Right. So isn't like an oracle a single point of failure in this whole
Yes, it is. It is.
thing?
So it is in a different way, right? So there have been many oracles in the past. So you could, for example, use what is called an on-chain oracle. An on-chain oracle would be like, for example, the price of a asset on a Uniswap pool, for example. So let's say there is a blockchain pool monitoring ETC to ETH to BTC price. You could use that pool price as your oracle price. That would be called an on-chain oracle. And then Chainlink would be an off-chain oracle, which is sending data from outside. So as a protocol, you could use both and see whether you can take a median of those two prices. That's one way of kind of mitigating against Chainlink being a centralized actor. But of course, Chainlink and other oracle companies will insist that they are not centralized. They themselves are decentralized in a way in which they have multiple nodes running Chainlink software, and these softwares are open source and anybody can see them. And the nodes will agree on some median value before sending it to the blockchain. So they will insist that they have this level of decentralization built in, and they will incentivize the decentralization with their own token. So it's a bit of a turtles all the way down situation. But you get the best of what you can get right here, because on-chain oracles, though they are fully decentralized, can be manipulated pretty easily. So if, for example, the liquidity on a Uniswap pool is very thin, then that liquidity can be used to manipulate the price on that pool, and then a liquidation can be triggered in some other exchange somewhere else. And people have been known to do this, where they will take an on-chain position on a DEX pool to move the price themselves, and in an atomic transaction also liquidate the loan as well. So it is called what is called a flash loan attack. So this was very popular back in the day, and then oracles were then moved off-chain to mitigate against these attacks. So there is no kind of one solution here, where if you are fully on-chain, you are guaranteed that nobody intentionally is messing with you, but then somebody can manipulate the price itself. And if you're using an off-chain oracle, then you're trusting the off-chain oracle's incentive mechanism, decentralization, and all of that to make it work for you. So typically what mature protocols do is they use a combination of off-chain oracles, some on-chain oracles, and then eventually get the price data. It's not obvious. It's not easy. It is still kind of I would say, an evolving process.
Right. Makes sense. And speaking of, on-chain, Hyperliquid is one of those dexes that, really took off in the recent past, right? So it's been, I think, the fastest growing and right now the biggest, perp exchange, perpetual exchange. That is, and it looks like they've struck a balance between a completely decentralized approach versus a centralized exchange. So there's somewhere in between. So it seems to have a lot of fans, especially on Twitter, who are very vocal about it. So one thing that went through Twitter recently was the James Wynn Bitcoin saga. So at one point, wasn't he worth like $100 million or something?
Yeah. His positions were worth, I think, $120 million. And the key thing was he started with a $7,000 position, right? That's the most important part. So he started with $7,000, $8,000, takes 40x leverage, 50x leverage, and goes long Bitcoin. And then these long positions are kind of, they hit gold because Bitcoin moved up or whatever. And then he's eventually kind of he repeats that a little bit a few times, and he's worth $100 million on paper. But then he got back all the way down to zero, which is kind of amazing, right? And of course, we believe that he got back to the zero based on on-chain evidence. But of course, we don't know whether the people who are taking the position on the other side is him or somebody else, right? So in crypto, I think, as we know, everything is kind of just private keys and public keys. So if somebody represents two public keys themselves, controlling both the private keys, you don't know really whether they're two people or one person. So some people have suspected that he's kind of doing this whole saga himself so that Hyperliquid gets more popular. But we don't know whether it's true or not. So anyway, on paper, if you believe whatever he says is true, he got liquidated pretty badly by people. And he is claimed, which is very interesting. I think this is the crux of the more crypto interesting discussion here, which is because he took these leverage long positions, his liquidation values were very clear. So let's say he went long on Bitcoin at 104 and he wants to go up to 108 or whatever. And his liquidation value is at 102. So at 102, people know that he will get liquidated. So if they move the price down to 102, this massive Hyperliquid position will get liquidated, causing a little bit more downward pressure on Bitcoin, and they can buy at the dip because they know that MicroStrategy is buying at whatever level somewhere else, right? So these liquidation values were on chain, essentially, on Hyperliquid. Anybody can read them. And everybody is kind of taking short positions against him. And he went kind of apeshit on Twitter, saying that this cabal of market makers and liquidators are taking a position against me. They are not letting me do my thing and all that, which is true. Obviously, people are doing it. But is that like bad? Who knows, right? It's hard to say. So, and of course, the debate became a bit more interesting because the nature of Hyperliquid is everything is visible. And that's not the case in TradFi. In TradFi, you don't know the liquidation values of Citadel or whoever it is who's taking a leverage position. So CZ, who's the head of Binance, which is, of course, like a centralized exchange whose liquidation, when people take leverage longs, their liquidation values are not known. CZ wrote this kind of provocative essay that's why decentralized perpetual exchanges are not a good idea, because people will get liquidated at known prices. And that is like a honeypot for people to come in and exploit you. This is an interesting question. I think as a cryptographer, at some level, I want the best of both worlds. I want on-chain activity so the people can't be censored by likes of Binance or whoever. At the same time, I want some level of protection for people's position so that they don't get targeted as well. So you want some amount of censorship resistance along with some amount of privacy. So I think that's the holy grail, right? I think censorship resistance right now needs non-privacy. It demands that privacy shouldn't exist, because then everything is in the open. You can kind of read everything, and then you can give censorship resistance to the network. But then if everything is open, then you are liable to be attacked. So there is right now, you can't have both situation. You can't have both censorship resistance and privacy together. I think that's a challenge for us cryptographers. How can we do both? I think there are some solutions out there which are still not very well baked. So we'll see how it goes. I think Hyperliquid has opened an interesting can of worms. It was well known in the past. I think it's happened in Uniswap. It happened before as well. It's not a new thing. But given the volume and the success of Hyperliquid, I think this is kind of getting more attention now.
I mean, this is nothing new, honestly. So even in TradFi, right? It's only the Chotumotu traders who just put market orders and bang it, right? It's otherwise, if you're like if you're moving decent size, then there are so many other options that are available, order types that are available that you should use. Iceberg orders, there's so many things that let you hide your actual size and your actual intent. And only an idiot will put a stop loss order on the on the book, right? Because everybody will know where your stop loss is and it'll get hunted.
So how does it work in terms of TradFi hunting? Like how do people know how to hunt? Like where do they find
Because
this so stop loss order only the exchange ideally knows. So are you saying
no,
that the exchange sells the order flow?
it's not the order flow. They sell the whole book, right? So you get a 20 deep book, and if you're a HFT, you can see the whole thing and analyze it and see where the stops are. Whereas, if you're a retail guy, until recently, the best you could hope for was a 4 deep book, like 4 depth. Now, if you have, a 20 deep view into, where all the limits are, you can easily figure, oh, this is a limit order, this is where somebody has put a stop loss. And if there's a lot of, clustering around it, and this used to happen, pretty naively, like 20 years ago, right? So you would get these messages saying, buy at this price, this is the, stop loss. And people would actually punch it in, right? By this is my stop loss. So you can actually see the cluster of stop losses in the order book itself. So and people used to take advantage of it. So this is nothing new. And if you're moving $100 million, you're not going to move it through an exchange. You're going to hire Goldman Sachs or something, and they'll arrange a block deal for you. So it is highly idiotic to say that, oh, you guys are not allowing me to do this shit.
No,
Dude,
but I
it's
think
like,
I think the real catch here is the 50x leverage, right? So Goldman Sachs will not give you 50x leverage. That's the difference. I think Hyperliquid gives you 50x leverage, and that's what they want. The gamblers, the degenerate gamblers of crypto want the 50x, 100x leverage, and TradFi will not give it to them. So they take it on Hyperliquid, then they get screwed over, and they complain that, oh
yeah,
my god.
see, but those are two distinct things. So one is your leverage. Nobody's forcing you to, go tits out on 50x, right? So, in TradFi, getting 5x itself is a fight. Now, so the truth lies somewhere in between. So maybe 5x is too low, too conservative. So maybe crypto, you take 10x. Nobody is going to take 50x. And if you're an idiot who took 50x, then you deserve what is coming to you, right?
Yeah,
And you know the truth.
I think this is what is the general consensus now, that if you take 50x longs and then you get liquidated because somebody said, okay, your 50x longs are visible on chain and I'm gonna mess with you. That's the rules of the road essentially. So I think
Yeah.
that's what people have agreed on at some level, and that's how it's going to be. But I think Hyperliquid is going to win eventually, because I think there are reasonable people out there taking 2x, 3x leverage and being able to trade very efficiently on very deep markets. And I think the deep liquidity and the 2x, 3x leverage sounds like a great situation, and without getting censored for the most part. I think a big hack has yet to happen where people will eventually censor. I think that is something that we'll have to also address. I think censorship resistance only goes so far as to when people are playing by the rules which are unsaid. But as you saw in the another blockchain called SUI, SUI, there was another protocol that got hacked to an amount of, I think, $260 million. And the protocol validators, the SUI protocol validators, decided to censor the hacker, which is against the ethos of what a blockchain is supposed to be. Like if code is law, then if you hack, then the hack was respecting the code as it was written, then you should be able to get away your money and do whatever you want with it. But of course, that goes against the spirit of the project, which is doing just exchanges and not getting hacked. So $260 million were hacked, and I think the attacker was able to only get out around 20 million or something, because those transactions were allowed to kind of finalize on the blockchain, but the remaining transactions were not even allowed to go. And that tells you that sensitive resistance is only like a good in theory. Eventually, when rubber meets the road, uh, I think only protocols like Bitcoin at some level are sensitive resistant. Maybe Ethereum is, but though Ethereum, if you go back all the way to 2016, had the original sin where they really censored the hack, right? So it's a bit. I think it's still a bit complicated. I am. I want to believe that Bitcoin will be sensitive resistant when it comes down to like North Korea or whatever it is. But that's not an obvious viewpoint. People do disagree that uh, sensitive resistance unilaterally is a good thing. I believe it is, but I am not sure. I don't have that visibility into what's possible if you allow things to happen. So maybe I am naive about this. So I don't know. At some level, it's complicated.
Right. Speaking of Bitcoin, so I think we've discussed this before, but I keep stumbling on this. What exactly is Bitcoin dominance, and how exactly does it affect anything?
So Bitcoin dominance is essentially crypto has a total market cap, let's say, of 2 trillion, 3 trillion, whatever is the amount of the day. Bitcoin dominance is how much is Bitcoin out of that market cap. So currently, Bitcoin dominance is at 65%. So out of the entire crypto market cap of the main head, which is Bitcoin, obviously, and the medium tail, which is Ethereum, Solana, Binance, Smart Chain, Litecoin, Dogecoin, whatever. And then the long tail of pump.fun, shitcoins, meme coins, altcoins, whatever. You have all the way down to fart coin. I mean, it's like complete crypto garbage, right? You know that. So Bitcoin dominance is this notion that how much of it is Bitcoin dominating. The thing is, Bitcoin dominance has been like an interesting thing to observe for a long time for many people, because the idea is you cannot really, like Bitcoin, people treat it as a beta of the crypto market. So you really are expected to beat Bitcoin if you are an investor, and you beat Bitcoin by taking long positions on Solana, Ethereum, Aave, Uniswap, Hyperliquid, a bunch of these other tokens. And the idea is that they will eventually outperform Bitcoin's performance. This has happened historically, where Bitcoin dominance eventually starts going up and then eventually starts going down because other altcoins start doing well. And then there is like a lull for a while. Then Bitcoin again picks up because a whole bunch of other people come into crypto. When they come into crypto, new people, they start with Bitcoin because again, the dominance goes up. But then they discover that, oh no, that Bitcoin is an old stodgy boomer coin. There is a lot of other cool, hot stuff. So let's kind of go into the hot stuff. So the altcoin rally begins. So this Bitcoin dominance followed by an altcoin cycle has been going on for a few years now. Let's say all the way from 2017. And then the Ethereum kind of altcoin season took off, or the ICO season took off. Then there was a lull. And then the Solana season took off. There was a lull. Then some other coins took off. There was a lull. Now this Bitcoin dominance is supposed to have ended in the last 6 months, 8 months, 10 months or so. And the trend should have been now going downwards, and altcoins should have picked up by now. That's the hypothesis of a lot of traders and investors in crypto. But it has not happened. It has not happened this cycle for some unknown reasons. Bitcoin dominance is going up all the way to like March 2021 levels, which is a bit surprising. I don't know the reason really, to be honest. A lot of people have speculated that this time Bitcoin has found institutional adoption. So institutional adoption is the one which is driving Bitcoin dominance. And the same degree of institutional adoption has not come to Solana, Ethereum, whatever. So some of these coins themselves, when I say coins, what I mean is the huge backers of the coins, the foundations, the developer companies, the VCs who are involved in the coins, they want institutional adoption to happen. And institutional adoption means essentially ETFs, these big treasury companies that buy these as assets. These things are being encouraged and promoted. But I don't know how it will happen though, because at some level there is credible neutrality with Bitcoin, in the sense that Bitcoin people know is somewhat, there's no like big bag holders who are waiting to dump on these people. There's no founder, there's no foundation, there's no like infinite money printing happening. So people who buy Bitcoin, even institutions at some level, are convinced that it is reasonable to do it. But are they convinced that Ethereum and Solana are equally reasonable, right? We don't know. Maybe it is that it is reasonable and people just haven't figured it out. Or maybe that it is not reasonable and people have figured it out. And that's why there's no demand for it. And the clueless retail that used to eventually cause the cycle back in the day, is still there and doing its thing, but it's being dominated by the institutional players who are so dominant now that the small Bitcoin dominance cycle, which collapses and altcoin rally begins, that is being hidden by the Bitcoin buying from institutions. That's the guess. I don't know for sure.
Right. I mean, it sounds reasonable. As an asset matures, the volatility should go down, and this is part of the process. That dampens down vol. And the other thing is, honestly, what exactly did Solana achieve? Right. Most of its value is derived from all these pump.1, nonsense. And there's really no real world use case for any of these, Solana or Ethereum. And if you look at Ethereum's price chart, not even the biggest bag holders are convinced that it's going to be the next thing. So, so it goes back to the OG because, at least with Bitcoin, you have this notion that, it's kind of like digital gold, right? And everything else is sort of okay. You have silver, people trade silver, they trade natural gas, they trade copper, they trade so many other things. So sure, you can trade all that. Along with that, you also have BTC, which has been around, for the longest time. So it's almost like a Lindy thing at this point.
Yeah, the Lindy thing is very strong. I don't disagree with that. But I guess to kind of steelman the other case, although I disagree with it for other reasons, but I'm going to steelman it anyway, is that Bitcoin does not allow a bunch of other things that a theoretically better Bitcoin could have done. A theoretically better Bitcoin would have allowed decentralized exchanges. It would have allowed perpetual exchanges. It would have allowed decentralized autonomous organizations. It would have allowed a lot of these other things that crypto promised to do, right? And Ethereum does allow all of these to a large extent. Solana does it even better. Some would argue it's faster, it's easier, it's more UX friendly, whatever. Now,
yeah.
Is there an appetite for all of this?
No, the counterpoint to that is what is Hyperliquid built on? It's not built on Ethereum. It's not built on Solana. It's built on some other completely different third chain, right? So my point is that as an investor, how do you say that, okay, Ethereum is the shit, right? There is no, because we are still in a nascent stage, I think, when it comes to striking the right sort of balance between, performance, between, giving the decentralized, I don't know, at this point it's a facade, and also making it, monetarily significant. I mean, like,
no, I totally agree with you. That's a great counterpoint. The counterpoint of where is Hyperliquid located and why is the Hype token itself having any value is a great question. For example, even in Hyperliquid's case, Hyperliquid as an application having value and taking a cut of all the trades that go through and value accumulating to the Hyperliquid equity holders would make total sense. Where does the Hype token fit in? Why is the Hype token going up in value is kind of unclear right now. So this notion that there is a base platform and the base platform has its own token, or there is an application specific thing, which is a separate chain altogether that has its own token, and the application has its own users who are doing other things. All of this is still kind of up in the air. Like, we don't know really where the value accrual happens, and it's unclear right now. I think a lot of speculation has happened. I think people have made money with the speculation itself, but on the other side, the speculation has burnt a lot of people as well, who don't really talk that much about it. So I think crypto still is figuring out where is the lasting value accrual. For now, it just seems to be Bitcoin because there is a proper story on where it's required. You have Trump and Elon Musk fighting, and both of them like Bitcoin, right? That is your Bitcoin promise, right? It's money for enemies. It's proper money for enemies. Your enemy has money, you have money, and both monies work because it's just a money for enemies. So I think that is the product market fit, so to speak. And the others, which are still kind of figuring it out, where is the Hyperliquid, where is the NFT platform, where is the stable coin going to be happening? Because right now, even stable coins, for example, which is supposed to be this other crypto application, you have it on Ethereum, you have it on Tron, you have it on Solana, you have, and Circle right now, which is a stable coin company, did an IPO, and now they will have equity. Now the equity is going to be accruing some value using some other methods, right? So why will they launch on Ethereum and give value to Ethereum? They will just do their own thing. They will have their own chain, or they will have their own database, and that's good enough. and regulators will be happy because it's in US and can be regulated in the US jurisdiction. So yeah, I have a feeling that you hit the nail on the head saying the application will do its own thing. Why is the token valuable? That is not clear yet.
Right. And speaking of Trump, I don't think Trump is a fan of anything. Honestly, he's just there to make money. He likes dollars. He understands it. He's like freaking what 80 years old now, 79, I think. And I doubt if he has the patience to actually understand what any of this means. And he has gone and I think he and his son have gone and licensed the Trump brand left, right, and center, right? So it's like everything related to him is like total chaos. So on one end, they're launching some decentralized exchange with an app and everything, and on the other hand, he is sponsoring some US crypto, sorry, Bitcoin reserve, not even like the crypto thing. I don't know what happened to the old crypto reserve. Right now, nobody is talking about that. Now he wants a Bitcoin reserve, and then like every time he goes to a crypto conference, he'll blabber something, and everybody's like, "Wow, Trump understands crypto." No, dude, he doesn't understand crypto. He he knows that if he says something, he will dominate the news cycle for the next 24 hours. So he'll say that, and he'll scoot out of that.
Yeah, I think Trump has been. I mean, Trump we know is like he's not like a serious person about anything really. Uh, his meme coin, of course, is a disaster. It is now at. I mean, it went up a little bit over the last few months, but it's been a disaster overall. He also announced the top 200 holders of his meme coin would get a Trump exclusive dinner apparently. And the funny thing was they were given like a packaged food from McDonald's or whatever in that dinner, and then they were given a public tour of the White House, which is available for free. And that's it. Trump came and gave a speech for 10 minutes. They're talking about some whatever usual crypto stuff, nothing really exciting. So these token holders, of course, had to buy the Trump token to get access to this dinner, and I think that's what caused the price to go up a little bit. But yeah, so Trump, this is one angle, the official Trump coin. Then there is a Melania coin. Let's not even get there. Then there is the World Liberty Financial, which is his company, and that does some decentralized exchange as you were mentioning. Then there is he wants to launch an ETF holding Bitcoin, which is another story. And when I say he, it's not he, right? He's not the guy,
Right.
obviously. It's either Eric Donald Trump Jr. or Barron Trump or one of his associates, one of their associates, Howard Lutnick, who is the commerce something, and his company Cantor Fitzgerald might be doing something, because Cantor Fitzgerald, which is the company that Howard Lutnick used to hold before, but now is divested to his son or sons in this case. They are the holder of all the treasuries that is held by Tether, which is another stable coin, to back their USD on chain. So there is a bunch of these, I would call them semi-opaque web of people who are involved in all of this crypto shenanigans. Most of it might be above board. Some of it might be quasi-legal or whatever. It just is not important enough, I think. I think it's just noise. If you want to look at Trump as a corrupt person, then you have a lot of ammunition here. But if you want to look at only crypto and see whether Trump adds or subtracts from crypto, I think it's almost negligible. I think the only thing he has done probably is that he has told his high-level regulators in US that don't touch crypto. I think that's the biggest thing he's done, which is probably relevant, which is do not go hard on the crypto guys. Let them do their thing. And if they burn themselves, let them burn themselves. Investor protections are not important. So I think that's the main lesson he's probably personally given as a guarantee, that as long as he's around, the SEC will not mess with you, the CFTC will not mess with you, the officer of the comptroller general or whatever, whoever the other regulator is, will not mess with you. I think that is where I would put Trump's influence. The rest of his personal influence is probably negligible.
Right. I mean, see, net, Trump at this point is mostly noise. Even in financial markets, for after his Liberation Day bombshell, there was panic, and then people realized that this guy's an idiot. None of these numbers make any sense.
Yes.
And
how much do you like tacos?
I think the biggest undoing of finance in general is that they have to kind of tell other people how smart they are. Just shut up. If you found something, just shut up. It's fine. But no, you go and tell a Financial Times journalist that, oh, we are calling it the taco trade. And she goes and confronts Trump with it. Like, this is insane. Just shut up. Do your thing, man. Just mint. Don't open your mouth. um, but yeah, so ever since that taco and even this Elon Musk fight that is going on, it just feels like it's a gigantic world wrestling entertainment episode, right? It's like you're in it. You're in that WWE. Like, who the hell cares if Undertaker is going to fight with Razor Ramon? It's all fake, right? You're muted.
There is a technical word for it. It's called Kayfabe, Keyfabe. So Kayfabe is this kind of fictional narrative that is built in WWE to make the drama happen. So there are heels, there are what are the heroes called? So there are villains and heroes essentially, and the WWE will anoint them as heroes, and they're supposed to do the heroic arc, and the villains are supposed to do the villainic arc, and then villains sometimes turn on to heroes. Like, if you remember Stone Cold Steve Austin, he used to be a villain apparently in the beginning, and then he became a hero because it just lent itself very well to the hero arc. This is exactly what Trump is, and Trump is from this world. Trump knows, and Trump was on WWE, by the way, shaving Vince McMahon's head. I don't know whether you remember this episode. He actually, no, so there was an episode where Trump was fighting Vince McMahon. It was called the Battle of the Billionaires. I think both of them are not billionaires. That's a different story. And whoever lost was supposed to get shaved. The other person was supposed to shave their head. And Vince McMahon lost, and Donald Trump shaved his head. This is, of course, all in the past, right? And Trump knows this world. Trump knows that middle America loves this world. They love the idea that it's all entertainment. And Trump, I think Elon Musk even said that the most entertaining outcome is probably true or something, right? Something along those lines. So it's all a joke. It's all a bit nihilistic. And that's why pump.fun, man. That's why crypto has all these. It's anyway, we know it's nihilistic in the real world. Let's take the nihilism and put it on steroids in the crypto world, right?
Yeah, and they call it the trenches for some reason. I have no idea why. I mean, if my grandfather was alive and he heard the word trenches, he would have some completely different idea of what these guys are doing.
And I think in the trenches basically means anything that gives you PTSD can be called being in the trenches. So World War I gave people PTSD in the real sense, and they were in the trenches, literally, right? In the real trenches. I think all the hyperliquid degen gamblers, they have PTSD because they got liquidated so badly and their positions got nuked, and they develop PTSD when they go to their mouse or their whatever it is. So they believe that they're in the trenches. So I think it's a bit of a joke, but that's what it is.
Yeah, and see, honestly, it's all fine and dandy if it were a joke. But the problem is that you reach a certain size and it stopped being a joke, right? So, for example, Coinbase, they had this humongous hack, and the details are completely insane. So they hired a bunch of low-paid, guys from Philippines and India. Did not pay them, and those guys sold all the data. It's unbelievable. And if you go to like State Street or any one of these guys, they have solid process in place so that this doesn't happen. And Coinbase just trusted a bunch of low paid outsourced guys to save American data. And honestly, it just boggles the mind. The level of, like, it's one thing to say, okay, it's all open and do what you want. That's fine but Coinbase is a listed company, worth billions of dollars. Where is the sense of I don't know, seriousness?
I know. I mean, it's not a joke, right? I mean, this one is really real, because if you think about it, bad things have happened if you follow through, right? Like, there was this guy who was kidnapped and tortured in New York a couple of weeks ago because they wanted his Bitcoin password or whatever. That was quite crazy. But that was like those people knew each other, so it was like more like an internal affair, so to speak. But Coinbase can lead to like these events where if your KYC information is leaked, and people can come behind you in some sense, and that's not very good. And if you think about it, if you go back to like all the way in history, when money was a bearer asset, truly bearer asset, you are in physical risk all the time. So people decided to kind of use custodians because you don't want to be holder of a bearer asset, and you want like some notion of you go in person, you prove that you're not being coerced or whatever, then you can withdraw your money and you kind of transfer money without carrying the asset yourself. But of course, then that centralized honeypot becomes government controlled, and then you become taxed, you become seized, you become censored or whatever. And the world is kind of going back in cycle again. So people discovered the value of bearer assets when they discovered money. Then they discovered the risk of bearer assets. Then they discovered custodians. And the governments discovered custodians. And governments discovered that the custodians are an easy choke point. And then Satoshi Nakamoto comes and says, you know what, we should discover money again and make it a bearer asset again. Once the bearer asset is invented, now you have again custodians. And the custodians again become honeypots. So it's this cycle that continues on and on. I think there is no like easy way to break this, because at some level society has actors who will eventually try to steal, and these making it a true bearer asset is always going to be complicated. So I don't know really where it should land.
So everything is a circle. Speaking of circle, what do you think about the IPO? Is it like all
I thought Circle could have gone definitely much higher. They were definitely more valuable than what they started at. I mean, this has happened before. It happened to LinkedIn, happened to Google, happened to a bunch of other IPOs. I think it's not like a new phenomenon. Investment bankers are known to underprice IPOs sometimes. So it's sad that they got underpriced. But I guess it's raising 1 billion seems entirely reasonable. They definitely have a good business because Tether is still offshore. And Circle has a lot of demand inside the US. Stable coins are a thing. They will be a thing for a long time. So I think it's all okay overall. I'm happy that IPO season is back at some level. I think without launching a token, just getting equity money and then giving returns back to equity holders is the right way to do things. If things are regulated more transparently, I think this is the model that they should follow. Instead of having a token which is like Uniswap is kind of the really weird one, right? It has a token, it has a equity as well. And both are worth a lot of money. Now, how will the equity holders get value? How will the token holders get value? That battle is still completely unresolved yet. Circle did the right thing. Just said, okay, you know what? Equity holders get value. Tether said, we'll stay private, so we'll get value ourselves. All good. Both are good. But this in-between place where you have equity holders and token holders is the real shady place.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to navigate that. And if you try to tilt it one way or the other, you're going to piss off the other guys. So not easy, man.
Just another day in crypto.
Absolutely. So I guess with that we'll wrap up this episode of Crypto. So thanks for joining in, guys. Hopefully we'll see you guys again next month. Otherwise, stay tuned for more.
All right. Have a good June, people.